Yo, and today we have 1 year ago I built an ecosystem and this happened. Well, let's see what happened. I don't know.
A year ago today, I built this little chunk of rainforest. This is much more than a bedside tank. It has
Jeez.
evolved into a dense ecosystem teeming with life. It is in this video where you can see both the brutality and beauty of Mother Nature. Today, I will unveil to you the full history of the cannibal jungle.
Have you have you ever seen certain animals and you forget that they actually eat? Like worms, crabs, snails. The fact that they actually have mouths and eat is a crazy thing for me because you don't really think about like dogs. You know dogs eat, you know cats eat, you know horses eat, you know what I'm saying, snakes eat. So you see their mouth all the time. But worms and all that, it's like, damn, I forgot y'all really eat.
In my bedroom. The tank began as a summer project. I built a custom background for the tank using some ghost wood, spray foam, and silicone. Nothing major. The tank wouldn't be the same without it. I built up some lava rock in the foreground. This was to create the water area. The back of the tank was then filled with some leca and substrate. From here, I planted the tank and it was complete. I didn't realize I had created the groundwork for an ecosystem. At the time, the only animals were these tiny garden snails that hitched along one of the plants. As time went by, the plants started to grow in and moss began to appear. The progression of the tank was slow, but clearly evident. Once mold appeared, I introduced various species of springtails into the tank.
Man, he was probably one of those kids that just knew a whole bunch of stuff about animals for no reason. Bro, I don't even have a joke for this. It's like, why do you just know all this? Like, and he's making money off it too, so it's like, that's cool. But Jesus Christ.
They thrived in the humid environment. I felt the tank was ready for a more complex life, so I got some shrimp and Malaysian trumpet snails. The shrimp were shy but would always come out during feeding time. As for the snails, they settled in right away. Within just a few days, I found baby snails scattered throughout. To make the shrimp feel more at home, I added in some red root flour.
How do snails even do it? That's another thing you gotta think about. Like worms have kids. Like I remember when I was a kid, we used to me and my friends used to just look for worms, and we found a couple pregnant worms. Yeah, a couple pregnant worms. And since we were in the sixth, fifth grade, we weren't really gooned out yet. So just yeah, find out that worms and snails do it snail style. It's a crazy thing to just think about, bro. Do you think they have to lift up the shell to
Odor. These plants acted as cover and made the shrimp feel secure. After that, it didn't take long for the shrimp to get busy. Here, you can see a very pregnant shrimp.
Jesus?
She carries the eggs under her abdomen, and those tiny black dots are
You think they have different positions? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You don't think they got a shrimp style or what? What's an ocean missionary? So the missionary, do they have like um like an Aquaman style?
actually eyes. There was a population boom, and you could clearly see that in the time lapse. About a month down the road, everything was still going smoothly, so I was ready to add in an apex predator, the vampire crab. Their eyes glow a menacing yellow, which is how they get their name. I started with only 6 of them. When I added them to the tank, little did I know of the army they would become. I gave them each a mealworm to feed upon. This crab eats his food like a cup of takeout. I always thought it was funny. These crabs are semi-terrestrial, meaning they need both a land and water area to survive. On land, they breathe using a thin layer of water on their shell. If you look closely,
Nah. How do they? Why do they know they can do that? So they have like a water bubble on their head? Nah, that's what's up. Then why do they call it vampires? Do they have teeth?
you can see the water moving around their exoskeleton. This one is even blowing bubbles. The crabs often venture to the water in search of a meal. They try to hunt the shrimp, but aren't very successful.
Damn, you suck.
Two months later, the tank was still thriving. The plants finally started to fill in the space, and some of them developed crazy colors. One day, I was baffled when I found baby crabs wandering around the tank.
Damn, where do they get the shell
Bigger than
from?
a sesame seed. The babies had very effective camouflage as they blended right into their surroundings. Here, you can see them eating some algae. The babies were an awesome surprise, though I became concerned. I feared the crabs would overpopulate and there would be way too many of them.
Damn, bro, animals are just freaked out. Like, first the shrimps are just getting freaky in the first month, popping out like 25 babies. Then the crabs get in for like 2 weeks, and they're already pumping out babies. And I wonder how he buys them. I remember there were 5. So it did like Animal Kingdom thing where one male bangs all the females, or they just kind of talk for a week and then decide to get married and bang and have kids.
A solution. I needed a new predator. That is where the morning gecko comes in. I bought 3 adult females and I thought they would be the perfect tank mate. The geckos immediately took up residence in the canopy. The adult crabs were too big for them to hunt, but the babies, well, the babies could become an unfortunate meal. Now, it wasn't only geckos that were hunting the baby crabs. The crabs hunted the crabs. Here, you can see a baby crab.
Damn, don't tell me my fans in the way. Oh, that's unfortunate, but it's what it is. But y'all grew up together. You knew his parents. Why are you eating him? Jesus. Hey man, same. Like
Eating his own brother. They were cannibals. It showed how brutal nature can be. As more time passed, the forest floor became much more than just a pile of dead leaves. It became a refuge. There were still these tiny snails who would wander in search of food. More than just microfauna lived here. It was home to the baby crabs. They rarely ventured out to explore or to become someone else's meal. As the crabs grew, they no longer needed the security of the forest floor. They could climb into the canopy in search of food. At this stage, they were too big to become a meal for one of the geckos. I'd even see them peacefully sitting side by side. In the canopy, the crabs found refuge in the bromeliads.
I wonder if these animals know that they're in a cage. You feel me? Do you think they just kind of play along? They get picked up from the beach or from the shelter somewhere, and they're like, you know what? It's either this or I hang out with a whole bunch of rambunctious animals in the wild. I'd rather stay here. You think it's like that? Or they kind of just don't really care?
These plants hold many pools of water in their leaves, which turned out to be a perfect hiding spot. I'd often find them hiding in these pockets. If I ever got too close, they would quickly dive deeper into the plant. The geckos also call the bromeliads home. I'd find them tucked in between their leaves and they'd find shelter here when it rained.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, the tank has rain.
How much money do you spend on these videos?
The tank has these tropical storms 5 times a day. The heavy rain brings out the geckos and you can even hear them talking to each other. That clicking noise is
Yo, man, it rained. Come outside. Bro, I don't know what it is. I don't got jokes today, huh? Or anything, depending on who you ask. But it's like, these things are like, yo, come outside, it's raining, bro. Let's get some food.
Actually, the gecko is communicating. They are very social animals that like to be housed in groups. Well, their group is about to get bigger because they had laid piles and piles of eggs. This may come as a surprise because if you recall, all the geckos I bought were female. Then, how do they reproduce? Well, this isn't just any ordinary gecko. This type of gecko can make clones. All you need is...
Oh, how do animals just evolve to use shadow clone jutsu? That's just a crazy thing to be able to do. I wish I could clone myself.
one gecko to start an entire population. As the days went by, I began...
Are they all girls?
began to find baby geckos all over the tank. They were extremely quick and difficult to film. Most of the time, I would find them resting among the bromeliads or high up in the canopy. This little guy was drinking off one of the leaves. Funny little guys for sure. And now, this brings us to present day. Like my hair, the tank looks nothing like it did a year ago and has become overgrown. The diversity in leaf shape, size, and color is extremely variable. The ecosystem has finally found balance where no animal outcompetes the other.
Do you think when he if he invites girls over for, you know what I'm saying, late night grown up sleepovers, you think he moves the thing, or you think the animals just hear him?
Many of the crabs have reached adulthood. Here, you can see a baby, juvenile, and adult crab in the palm of my hand. The smallest crab doesn't have any of his adult coloration yet. Right now, he's cleaning his eyes with his claws. They are like mini windshield wipers because the crabs don't have any eyelids. They have to manually keep their eyes clean. You can see how the juvenile crab has developed some color on his eyes and they're now a deep orange. I decided to give him a little treat, and this is a bloodworm. He took it right out of my tongs and began to eat it. His mouth was like a little meat grinder and he ate the entire thing. And here is an adult crab. He is clearly the biggest and most colorful of the three. His massive claws were disproportionate to his tiny frame. I tried feeding him a cricket, but he pushed that away. I then tried feeding him a bloodworm, and of course he didn't hesitate to eat that. He ate the whole thing in under a minute.
Oh, that's what they call vampires because they love bloodworms. Damn, here I thought, they kind of have fangs, but
The geckos were thriving, and now I had well over 30. I didn't feel comfortable leaving them in the big tank, so I built them their own setup. I'll be sure to make a video on them in the future. The tank as a whole is definitely looking at its best. Beauty lies in its constant evolution and change. Every day, there is new growth, a new plant, or even a new generation. This tank is not the only project I've been working on. Right now, I'm building a 100-gallon polidarium, a saltwater ecosystem, and I'm keeping a colony of wasps. So definitely stay on the lookout for that. Now, here's a full...
Well, anyway, that'll be the end of this video. All in all, I like watching these videos. They're just interesting to see. Animals are cool on the screen, not in real life. I would never do something like this. It's kind of like a big old mansion, and I just needed a centerpiece and wanted to be different. I wouldn't have a fish tank. I would have an animal tank, just for a bunch of random sea creatures that can live inside. Other than that,